8th year on the Phelps board, and that has turned him out. So as much as he wants to continue, they won't let him. But he had a good comment. He said that, you know, a few years ago it felt like we didn't want to be here at times, and then he said, you know, today he doesn't want to go. So that's a good sign as far as where we are as a utility and the staff here and what y'all are doing for our communities, and that, you know, we want to keep being a part of it. And so, unfortunately, it's the last one, but we want to celebrate all the good things you've done for us. And I got a pretty cool deal there for you. That's much nicer than cooler than a little jacket or something. So, pretty neat gift. And so we want to say thank you and
just to read, it says John L. Aiken, board member, 2018 to 2025. This is a residential meter circa 1920. We just wanted to say thank you for everything you've done for the board. As chairman stated, there have been a lot of good things, there's been a lot of bad things, and it's been a rough 8 years. I'm glad that you wanted to stay on the board today. I wish you could, but you know, the 8 years is the term limit. So we just wanted to say thank you for everything you've done for not only the board but for Phelps and supporting us as a staff. So thank you, Mr. Aiken.
Thank you. I'd like to say something to the newspaper. About 2 years ago, y'all wrote a piece in the paper about Phelps, about the brain drain, and it was pretty much a woe is us type article. And I wish y'all would follow that up now with Phelps is back, and we're back a whole lot better than we were. The board at that time was not a very good board. Some people have changed. I contribute most of the progress that we made to President Lissy, his leadership, along with the change of some of the board members. I contribute the success that we've had in the last 2.5 years to the CEO and the leadership team that he's put in place in the 2.5 years that he's been here. And I think the newspaper needs to write an article describing that. Because the article that was written 2.5 years ago was pretty scalding. And I think you owe that to Phelps. I think you owe that to the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Aiken. Well, we appreciate you, and don't be a stranger around here.
Well, I really do appreciate the last 2.5 years that we've worked together. I think we've made a really lot of progress. Things are really looking good. There's a lot of good things going on here. A lot of good things that are here to come, and you guys got it moving in the right direction. So keep up the good work.
Thank you, sir.
thank you again. Well, most of all, this will be.
Thank y'all for everything.
Actually, you got a few action items to need your name on the last minute, so. All right, and I guess we can do pictures or something later on.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to say something. I am honored to have been working with you. Thank you for being involved and for being so kind all the time. So I appreciate that a lot. Thank you so much. I
Well,
appreciate a lot working with you.
It's been a pleasure
With
working
all
with
of
all of
you.
y'all.
I really enjoy working with all of you. Thank you. So I just wanted to say that.
All right, we'll continue on. We have a electric system demonstration by the Phelps team.
So we do a presentation in front of elementary, middle school. I don't know if we do high school, but we lot of presentations. We started doing more lately, and I thought it'd be a cool little thing just for the board to take a break and see what we do for the kids. And I've asked Sergio and Devin to come up and show y'all what we do, and just kind of watch the little art show here. So, gentlemen, if y'all will take the floor and show them what y'all do.
Sure. First off, I know y'all had some questions the other day about, protective goods these guys wear on a daily basis. Just pass those around, feel free to try them on. This is a sleeve that they'll wear, and that's a rubber glove. And I encourage you to go like this and feel the dexterity. Yeah. And now you wonder why, you know why the line would look like Popeye.
It's not me, right?
You got the straight, it just might not show yet.
No.
But this is Sergio Bailey, he's an urban lineman here. He's gonna, assist and handle the live apparatus here. This is a new model. We just got it. Our other one kind of went up in smoke during the presentation, so it was time to get a new one. And this is our first, y'all are the guinea pigs for this, so, please bear with us as we go through some different scenarios and just talk about some different things. Feel free to ask any questions. Sergio's full of information and he'd love to share it.
Yeah, like you said, my name is Sergio. A lot of new faces here on the board. I haven't met a lot of you. But yeah, like Garrett said, we take this to the schools a lot. This one's a brand new one. Thank you guys for doing it. It's actually pretty nice to show all the kids and even high schools. We've done some career days, and I really think it benefits folks a lot. So really think it's a good investment for the company on this board. And yeah, we would like to show you guys some certain situations on what happens and why we have outages at times, and if there is a dangerous situation, what not to do in some cases. But a little bit about myself, I've been at Phelps probably coming up 7 years already. Went through the program, the apprenticeship program, and now I've been in journeyman about 3 years, 3.5. So yeah, they trust me a lot to do this, and I swear I don't do fires out in the field like I do here. So we'll see how it goes. But the school board has 2 safety features. The other one didn't, only had 1. And there have been times where I know some coworkers did get a little shocked. So the 2 safety features is actually really nice that we have on this board. Always using my rubber gloves, my first point of protection, my PPE. I got my glasses on. Obviously the art gets a little bit too heavy at times. And how do you guys feel about those gloves? I don't know.
Kind of amazed that they're rubber on the inside.
Yeah, no, they're hard to work with up in the bucket, and sometimes we're working with, you're working with the tiniest nuts, 9/16 nuts, and you gotta wear these rubber gloves, so it takes a little bit of work and a little bit of time to get used to them, but one day you will. One day you will.
You can see how during the summer we're so concerned about the heat, because the clothes he has on it's ARC, FR clothing, and it does not breathe on purpose. So that protects him in case he is in one of these flashes. And that doesn't breathe, and he has this on top of that, so they lose probably 10 pounds a day sometimes.
Yeah.
It's pretty rough.
And then in the winter I gain it all, but yeah, the rubber sleeves is another part of protection that we use up in the bucket, and it's stuff we need, and thankful for it, because sometimes the job can get a little bit tricky, but yeah, I guess me and Devin will start demonstrating this board that we have here. What do you want to start with?
Just start on that end if you want.
Sounds good.
Here we go, I got the first one.
Okay, so we got our tractor here with this grain thing, whatever it's called.
It's a grain elevator.
Grain elevator. So, we got a farmer. He might be from Washington, that's where I'm from, and we have a lot of these. Yeah. So we have a lot of these, and let's say this farmer got into the line, right? And he doesn't realize what he's done. Mind you, this is the first time we use this board, so I kind of have to get used to positioning. I guess I could do that too. gets into the line. And he's backing up. And this one has a very little arc to it, but it's still enough to get this whole tractor on fire. And as you can see right now, this grain elevator is still on the line, right? Well, say he parked it real quick and left. Then he comes back, and then he tries to get into the tractor. And he makes contact. So he's making contact with the tractor, which is energized, and now he's the ground. So when you get the ground,
Even though the tractor has rubber tires.
even though it has rubber tires, that's what's protecting pretty much the equipment. So let's say we have a piece of equipment up here, and it's supposed to have a fault, right? But since a rubber tire on the insulation, that becomes a line, the tractor becomes a line. So now, we try to get in.
It's the ground.
Yeah. So that's one way. It's a cool little situation there. And actually, I've pulled up to a lot of situations where the dump trucks, once they go up with their, with whatever they have, you know, rocks or something, well then they pull away and they hit the line. And in some part of our systems, we do have a 14-4 system where they don't have a ground, and that will not trip the equipment. So I've pulled up on some instances where the guy luckily knew what he was supposed to do, and he stayed in the truck. Because if you climb out of that truck, you're touching ground and you're touching the door just like how you did, and yeah, it won't end up too good. A lot of the things that I also tell the kids about, since we have a lot of transformers underground, I tell them not to get close to them. Especially if they're open, obviously contact the electrical company and stuff like that. But since we do have a lot of these on the playground, stay away from them as much as you can, because there is some instances where if you do touch it, I mean, it could be hot. Rarely, but so you got it on. And then I'd like for you guys to notice, right here, when I create the start, you see the bottom of it? Does anybody know why it's going through the bottom of it? Because pretty much the electricity finds always or all past the ground. So that electricity flows through him all the way to the ground. It does create a pretty good art. I like this little demonstration. Same thing with the fire truck.
That little piece of copper on the side of the truck, make sure it's on your contact there. There you go. You know, our booms are insulated in 2 spots. So that's the first, the line of defense for our guys, and this rubber goods are first line of defense. So when the first responder shows up, if we have an incident on our system with our guys, they will wait till we get that guy on the ground. We have to rescue that man and put him on the ground for the EMS or whoever. And, because fire truck is not insulated, as our trucks are.
And as you notice right here, you guys are a little bit far away, but if you notice, I have about maybe half an inch or a quarter inch of spacing through the face and the fire truck itself. But I'm still getting that arc. So you don't even have to be touching the line. If you come between that certain zone of that danger zone, it will create an arc. You don't even have to be touching it.
There is a minimum approach distance.
Yeah.
Question? Now, the fire truck outriggers are what's the ground. On our trucks, our outriggers are grounded.
Yeah, I mean, we have fiberglass sections in our booms that isolate.
Oh, the boom
bucket
is
there's-
insulated.
You know,
Yes.
as those booms are, when the boom articulates, each section of that boom has a fiberglass piece. And the bucket is also fiberglass that's insulated. That's why dielectric testing is very important.
Yeah.
We test those trucks annually to make sure all of those things are correct.
And all your hydraulics, your hoses are non-conductive.
Yes.
Oil's non-conductive.
Yes. So technically, I could be working up in the bucket, and if I'm up in the bucket, and say I come to the middle of the line, I take off my rubber gloves and touch that line, technically I'll be good. I won't create no fire, I'll be a bird sitting on the line. That's all I would be because of that insulation on the
Goes in
bucket.
the bucket.
Mm-hmm. Obviously, don't do it, don't try it, but technically you would be okay just because you would be a bird sitting on the wire essentially.
Yeah, God gave you a brain.
Yeah.
We like to have more than one layer of protection.
Yeah, like usually our minimum approach distance is 2'4" when we're working on it. And, yeah. Okay, well, we can do this little guy, okay? Let's say Texas A&M won this weekend, right? So this guy named Aaron wants to put a Texas A&M flag up at his house.
That ain't nice. Do you not realize where your boss went to college?
We know no purpose.
So he tried to put his flag up, and his ladder's too tall, and he contacts the face. So that's a pretty good little arc right there.
We got fire extinguisher here, don't worry.
Yeah, I got one. Like I said, this is our first run through.
But yeah, it's a pretty good little arc. Always, electricity fines all past the ground, so it's going through, touching the ground right there. Luckily, I haven't seen any fires like this on the field, but it can happen. A lot of situations that we went through when we're on call out, especially, we always seem to have phases on the ground. There's a lot of lightning.
The ladder situation, folks, I know of a specific situation where somebody leaned the ladder up against a secondary wire that was at a lake in East Texas, and didn't realize it had rubbed the insulation off the conductor, and went and climbed the ladder coming out of the water, killed them. So, point is it doesn't take a lot of voltage. What kills you is the current. If that direct ground, what you saw coming through the foot, that's current going through your body. It's basically cooking the inside of you. I've seen a guy's foot where the heel of his foot had a black mark. And I told him to head to the hospital. It was many years ago. But he was up on a breaker, and they were running a 10,000 volt test. And he put his hand on the live conductor accidentally, leaned against it, and zapped it. There was a black mark right on his heel. I told him, get your butt to the hospital now.
You ever microwave a hot dog and see it blow up from the inside?
Same thing.
Yeah, it doesn't take too much. But like I'm saying, it's the current kills. Doesn't take much of an amp. And pretend like this wire is a water hose, right? Well, say the water moving through the hose is your current. And we measure current by amps. So the water moving through the hose is your current, and the force applied that pushes the water through the hose is your voltage, essentially. So a lot of people think voltage is pretty much electricity, but to go into details, it's more current in a way. Just there's a lot of science that goes into it in physics. But a lot of call-outs that we go to, we have a lot of wires on the ground most of the time. And I've actually had a wire on a car before, and it was pretty dangerous, but luckily there was no one in it, and it was just a parked car, so we were able to remove it safely. But if someone does try, Same thing with the tractor in a way. I always tell, high schoolers and kids, if you ever come into contact with this, call the electricity company, don't get close to it, don't be near it. Say you are in the car, and you have to get out, say the car's on fire, you have to get out, jump out, with both legs up in the air as far as you can, and then after that, just start kind of hopping like a bunny. And hopefully you'll be good that way.
Hopefully you won't have to get out.
Yeah. And then little Miss Daisy here, flying her kite. She's at the park, not paying attention. Comes into contact with our face.
A lot of your kite strings for kids have that wonderful little color in it. That's what conducts the electricity on it. What makes it dangerous. So little kids, if you want to protect your kid from that, buy just a regular cotton string, and that's pretty.
And these are just examples. Obviously, out in the field and in the real life, we have protection for stuff like, stuff like this shouldn't happen, but let's say it does, we would have protection over here, so where if they would get into contact, that circuit would go out after 3 blinks. So obviously, because we have birds and a lot of wildlife or trees even that get into our line, we want to kind of clear itself out, so that protection will blink up to 3 times, and if it's still there, then that's when it will go out. So we do have protection in a way for things like this that does happen. But like I mentioned, the trees are one of our bigger problems. A lot of big problems. Most of our outages can be wildlife or trees. And let's say there's this tree right here, same thing. Electricity finds all waste to ground. And whenever it's just windy and it starts going like this is why blinks happen. This is why you have friends maybe calling you that we have blinks. A lot of the times our blinks are just trees. The wind will just blow it just like this. I don't even have to touch the line. It comes into that minimum approach distance and it'll work. It'll get it.
It's another reason why we try to have our right of ways clear.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good reason to have a wide range clear, because when it's 2, 3 o'clock in the morning and we're on call, we have to find it. Oh man, it's hard to see trees in the line, especially out in the fields where you have to walk quite a bit. You start looking for every kind of different problem insulators and stuff, and usually trees are way harder because they happen right in the middle, not where you think the actual problem is going to be. We have our little digger truck right there. They're digging, they catch into a wire. And as soon as he digs it up into the ground, so what do you guess happens here in this situation? He didn't call dig test. So a lot of the times I tell the kids, if your parents are gonna dig at the house, have them call dig test. Go up a little bit. I didn't think that one would do that much. And same goes for their dad shoveling.
So that's the underground service that house?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's underground service to the house. Same thing, you dig in. Always call dig test. You never sure, because a lot of the times these underground services directly, they only vary 2 feet. If you're gonna dig with the practice, probably go a little bit more than 2 feet, so. Just to be safe, always call dig test, it doesn't hurt, 911, not 911.
And this model is operating at secondary voltages. So this is, if you dig into a secondary service, that's what you're gonna get.
one, like you said, the minimum depth for secondary service is 24 inches, 2 feet. So, the primary is minimum 48 inches, so it's considerably deeper. But the secondary will do just as much damage as the primary. It still has the ability to take a life.
Less than a million across your heart.
Yep.
In the right scenario, that's all it takes.
And I've actually been here long enough where I've seen underground service actually not in Congo as well.
Yep.
It was very direct, they used to do back in the days, and I don't think we have much of it anymore, but I came across it, so you never know. You never know. And then, didn't really say anything, but this is pretty much what we are gonna call our substation. A transformer, or $1 million transformer we keep buying. And let's just say Bob goes in here to work on something, or, oh, he sees the soccer ball, right? He tries to get the soccer ball out of there.
You got to go this.
Don't worry about that book, I promise. So he tries to get the soccer ball out of the line, and comes into contact with the electricity. And it's pretty good little art. I don't know if you guys ever saw a video of this woman, I think in Colorado. She went a little crazy and she was climbing pretty much the transformers and all the equipment in the substation. And luckily they saw her before it turned the power off. But that's a very interesting video to look at. There's some people that are just crazy like that.
So what's the arc distance, like, you know what I mean?
It varies.
It varies.
It varies just because of, depends on the voltage going through and the current on the line.
Moisture content in the air,
Moisture content in the area.
a lot of different variables.
Yeah. Usually our system runs 7960 volts. And, our underground services go from 120 to 40, 277, 480, which is one of our more dangerous ones to work on. 480 is actually sometimes more dangerous than actually working the primary lines, just because of the amount of current it carries. But other than that, I hope you guys like this little presentation, and it's really nice to do to the kids. So thank you all for letting them invest in this board, and thank you all for giving me the leadership that we have now, because it's been great. It's been great the past 2 years, so I appreciate it all.
Awesome.
Any questions?
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Main takeaway I got was go to UT, I think.
Well, bye. See you.
Merry Christmas to everyone. Merry Christmas, John. Come back soon.
Yeah. See you later. They weren't mine.
Oh, you did?
All right, we are gonna jump into citizens' comments. We don't have any, so we'll move to review of Phelps' business performance.
Mr. Parker, do you mind doing the honors, sir?
Yes, sir.
Month of last month, we had 34 jobs completed. Took our construction guys right around 2 days to get those done after the release of construction. Line design numbers continue to trend down. Take about 25 days on average to get a job designed. And then we're working with the customer on average about 13 days over there on the left-hand side. You can see, starting to get into the holidays, and our workload does think about other things than, getting electrical power. Osmo's poll data, we've got a little over 1,100 leased to construction. We got 861 pending design. We got 177 that are in our contractor's hands, and we've got 91 that are sitting on our FCC's desk, ready to be sent out. About halfway there, guys.
Milestone, but we did hit a milestone.
Yeah, we did. October, we had 104 poles in.
Finally.
You know, it takes, when you bring a crew in, it takes them a little bit to get accustomed to the specifications, because every utility is different. After, the longer they're here, the faster and more efficient they'll get. But they finally get what we've been asking them to get. You know, our reliability indices, you know, our minutes per customer is kind of flattened out here lately. It's right around the state average, or a little less. You know, our interruption per customer is right around state average. And like I said last time or before, you know, that's what we're dealt. Those two is Mother Nature and cars getting into poles and just the outages. That's what we're dealt with. This last, our minutes per interruption, is how we as a team deal with it. And you can see we're below, you know, the United States and the state of Texas average. We're just trending right along a little lower right now, but just trending right along, staying right in that 80 to 90 range, which, you know, we've explained before with our response times and where people come from. It's right where it needs to be. Our guys out in the field do an excellent job.
Yep. You notice we're running lower than before since 2020, we haven't been this low. So it's attributed to, as Devin just stated, how our guys are responding and how quickly we're getting to and identifying those outages. So, kudos to the guys in the field that are making that happen.
And we've got 18,315 active meters right now.
So, I don't know why the 10 dropped. It could be various reasons, as I described last time. This is a total number of meters in the system. So the net was 10 lower than last month. It's gonna continue to trend up. It's gonna have months where people, as Devin stated, they're not thinking about electricity. They're either disconnecting, moving. We'll have a little surge probably at the beginning of January or February where people are moving into town. So it's just a continued snapshot so that you guys can see where we are and where we're headed. Anything else, Mr. Parker?
Thanks, sir.
Santos, Mr. Alcon, anything on it, please?
Sure, members of the board, I have for you the year-to-date income statement as of October 1st, 2025. We had 40,670 in total sales, which is 10% lower than we had last year. Our operating expenses are holding steady at 7.5 million, or 88% of the budget. And our net income of 7.5 million, or 73% of the budget. We're projecting that we will hit $8.8 million in net income, which is about 85% of the budget, slightly below what we anticipated. We were going to be, but if we train the way we have been training in prior years, we're going to fall a little bit short just for comparison purposes. Last year, we had an income for the same period of $10 million. Right now, we're sitting at $7.5 million. I believe it's all weather related. Gas has slowly trended up to a little $5 in December. So we anticipate that our cost of power will continue to go up, and it's still a good place to be. Last year, our audit financials did have approximately little over $9 million in net income, so we're right in line where we were last year, and we'll end up in the same place. Any questions on the financial statements? Okay, we have our construction projects for October operating revenue as of October 2025, 18,274 customers for, realized revenue of a little over $4 million. Again, 10% off what we were last year. Last year we had 4.5 million at the same time. So, we have seen a slight downward trend, but, again, all of it, and as we finish out the year, we're still in a positive light, operation.
It's very possible we could have some pretty good numbers here in December, especially if these cold fronts keep pushing through, with temperatures in the upper to low to upper thirties in the mornings. If we can keep the temperature down during the day, just like I talked about it during the summer, if we keep the temperature down or up at night, our revenue is better. In the winter, if we can keep the temperature down during the day, it's better. So, we will continue to see that trend from a weather perspective, and everything I've seen, the Arctic air is supposed to continue to push through, over the next month or so, at least at a minimum. Well, we still have December, but we've added, 230-ish. I know your questions have been, how are we gonna see those trends upwards? And it's just a matter of, when those two subdivisions that we know are coming, when they break ground. I know the city's still working on the one by Eagle's Nest, and that was, I'm pretty sure, a year ago. I just waiting for them to break ground on it. The city's working on the water and sewer for that area, so, that continues to move forward.
That group's already paid for the upgrade to our existing system to get power to that location.
Perfect.
So it's a go. You know, the river band's kind of been crickets.
Okay, well, Devin just confirmed they've already paid for the upgrades that we required for the new subdivision in Eagles Nest.
They have
that
that.
one's a go. It's just a matter of when they're gonna break it and start, putting the foundations in. I think that was the last slide.
Yeah, and then we have our income statement, which is a makeshift cash flow statement. As of October, we're in positive 385,000 in total for 2025. It's $2.8 million. We continue to do very well in our investments. In October, we earned $151,000 in interest compared to how we started off in January of $58,000. So I project that we will have at least $1.2 million in interest revenue, which helps even out some of the shortfalls on our interest facility.
And don't forget, we're also smoothing out the costs.
Correct.
So those numbers at the bottom reflect us smoothing that out instead of getting that one-time hit. We're trying to smooth it out and make sure those numbers are more realistic over a year pattern instead of having that one-time $500,000 or $1 million hit in a month. So we're making sure that it looks more realistic to the board. And we're looking at some other options on presentation for numbers, and once we get comfortable with what we're seeing and making sure it makes sense for the board, we'll start presenting those next year.
Any questions? Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Chairman, if I may. Safety, our new safety coordinator is making huge strides. He's got checkout procedures in place for all the rubber goods and other safety materials. Tailboard meetings have been approved and have been implemented in the field. Tailboard is the meeting that you have before you start any construction. You make sure you know all the hazards and who's doing what in the event of an emergency and what you're doing on the job itself. So it basically gives a summary of what the job entails and how to handle situations in the event something happens. So those new procedures have been implemented. Job site safety assessments are also implemented. That is something that Ed, our safety coordinator, will be handling. He goes and checks jobs periodically. Usually it's not announced, he just goes and checks it, makes sure everybody's doing what they're supposed to do. And then, that JSSA is what he uses to assess them as he's looking at the job, when he's out there. We continue to expand our office safety. I'll give you a little more information on that here in a minute. And then the other thing is we've asked Ed to become OSHA certified. Even though we don't fall under OSHA, we feel it's important that we do OSHA safety procedures and what OSHA recommends. So he's signed up for training next year to go get certified so that he can train our guys in OSHA safety. On the office side, fire safety is super important in an office, and I felt that, and myself and the executive staff felt we were lacking in some areas on fire safety. So we had some gaps in our planning and practice, and new employees were really not aware of what to do in the event of an emergency. So our fire response procedures and evacuation routing have been issued to all employees with new signage. We have signs. We don't have one in here. Our exit is, you can't see it. It's hidden. If y'all want to see it, it's around the corner, right by that storage sign. But for us, our exit is going to be out that door in the event of a fire. But it also shows where we all join together to ensure we have a checklist of everybody who's been accounted for. We've got plans where if customers are in the bathrooms, we have somebody going through making sure the customers get out of here. So we've got a lot of things that we're really working on to make sure everybody in this building is safe, not just the team members, but the customers themselves. And then in the very near future, we're going to have a fire drill that will be announced. We'll work with our local fire department and our local police department to make sure they're aware that this is practice, this isn't real, but we're going to make sure everybody knows what to do in the event of a fire. So we're trying to be proactive instead of reactive in the event of an emergency here in the office. We're also going to look at some other avenues such as active shooter. We're looking into how we get everybody trained for those situations. So the safety committee is now being run by our safety coordinator, Ed Haas, and so he'll be running a meeting here, I guess, next week. We had 0 recordable incidents. That's a good thing. I think the last several months we've had at least one on here, and kudos to the guys for making improvements in that area. Any questions on safety, or Devin, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, you summed it up. Ed brought a lot of experience. He's, organized and put a lot of these programs in place at other locations, and he has been a breath of fresh air.
Yep. Thank y'all again for always allowing us to do the things that we believe we need to do to keep this place rolling and be efficient. Personnel updates. We had several promotions. Rogelio is now controller. Mary Hornsby is senior accountant. She moved up into Rogelio's previous position. And Brenda is now AP payroll specialist. She moved up into what Mary was doing. So congrats to those three in our accounting department. Human resources, we've given Myra a new title because she's more of a manager now, not just a specialist. So we're moving her to human resources manager. And Brandy, who's in the HR department, is now our resource generalist. And then Eric Rodriguez, if y'all recall, we lost our relay meter technician due to unforeseen or uncontrollable reasons. And so we've shifted a lot of his responsibilities to other folks within the company. But we did need to bring in a meter technician to help support that side of it. And Eric had experience with a lot of the metering side, as well as he has some relay experience. So he's been a blessing to be able to move him into the meter technician. We did post it. We only had the one applicant. Eric was the applicant, and so we believe we're in really good shape now with Mr. Sanchez's departure. And again, congrats to those that got the promotions. I'm very thankful that questions on personnel, team members? Okay, journeyman lineman, we talked about that, we leave that post out there all the time. So Eric moving up to meter technician left a hole in our right-of-way department, so we needed another right-of-way crew member, it has been posted. In addition to that, we are working on our descriptions for each of the new positions that the board approved in our budget. And we're gonna get those posted, they're gonna be posted, I mean, I think there's some already posted today. Obviously, we're not gonna hire them or start interviews until January, but we wanna go ahead and get that out and start advertising for those positions. Not all of them are posted yet, but there is, I think 2 or 3, maybe 4 that are posted out of the 12 that we're gonna be bringing in. Yes, sir?
As far as the equipment, the bucket truck, the digger truck, and that, have we gone out on bids on that, or what are we doing?
I'm starting to work on that, I'm putting some feelers out, and I'm going to, there's one of the trucks we're replacing with a mid-size truck. I'm gonna go ahead and purchase that very fast, because we need it, but the other ones, I'm going to bide my time a little bit and see, there's several vendors I work with, and I will make sure that I have personnel here before I start committing us to, that big of an expenditure.
Yeah,
If that answers your question.
I think we made that promise to the board that we would balance that to ensure that there's not we buy the equipment and we don't have people for 6 to 8 months.
Yeah, I don't wanna buy it and sit out there and collect dust.
Toby, on that same deal, what about now that it's been approved by the board and everybody in the cities, what about, have you gone to those crews that you had in mind to?
I have, and it hadn't bore any fruit yet. I've been put on hold by a couple of them, and a couple of them just flat said no. We're competing with, right now, AEP has a huge push to replace a lot of poles. They're paying crew foreman $54 an hour, plus $100 to $150 a day per diem. And that's, AEP's right on our doorstep right here. That's our main competitor. And it's gonna be a challenge.
They're paying $200 a day for
$100 to $150 a day per diem. And if they sleep it in their own bed, they're paying them $50. So it doesn't matter if they're traveling or not, it's just the way our industry is. Right now, it's resource driven, there's not a lot of it, and it's unfortunate, but that's just, I tried a different route, and so far I've struck out. We'll continue to try, there's other people I can call, but my first 3 shots across the bow have not bore any fruit. Does that answer your question, sir?
Any other questions?
The other question is it that burdensome to try to do it in-house?
It just takes time. Sergio's been here 5, 6 years, and he's just now got to the point where he could probably lead. So it takes from, when they walk in the door, it takes 5 or 6 years before you really want to trust them with, say, a crew or to lead the on-call. Because there's just, in 4 years, you're a journeyman lineman, but you don't really make those journeyman linemen until they experience, working daily. They go out, they have a script, they have a job to follow. But when you get called out at night, you're the script. You write it. You identify the problem. You fix it safely. You keep everybody's safety in mind while you're doing that. And to get to that level and build that trust just takes time.
Okay, my question is do you see the problem that you're butting your head up against getting better in 3 or 4 years?
Ever since I've got here, every year we're slowly increasing that lineman's wage. And at some point, we'll be relevant enough to get some interest from outside. And until that, we'll just have to build it inside. And if we build it inside, it will take a lot longer. And we will continue to supplement with contractors until we can do that. And that's why I said I'm gonna watch that and really not invest in that equipment till I have some firm commitment, have some people here. Cause we have some spares and some things, and, you know, Bob, our operations supervisor, he's wanted a maintenance crew. You know, if I can get a couple of people in here, I can fill a maintenance crew, and then if we add a couple more, we can go ahead and move them, transition them into a full-fledged construction crew as our equipment comes in. That's kind of my plan. I'm not gonna try to do it all at once and buy all that equipment, make that huge investment until I have a concrete resource to put in it.
I think to answer your question, Mr. Aiken, is we are planning to utilize the resources we have in-house. It's that concept that we've always talked about. We bring in apprentices and we start training them, and then we get them to the journeyman. Well, even when they hit that journeyman, they still need some experience, gain some experience before we're comfortable releasing them, as Devin just said, during outage times. Devin and I have been talking about plans to ensure that we have a stair-step process where those folks are gonna be moved up as they get to a point where Devin's comfortable with them and Bobby's comfortable with them doing those jobs. And then we're also working on other supervisory positions for a couple of guys that we believe they're ready to move forward into that step. So we have some processes that we're working on, utilizing the personnel there, the team members that we have, but we're still trying to get caught up with that one crew that we've already shown the board that we can justify bringing in and saving us some dollars. So from the standpoint of the crews that we have today, Devin and I are working on plans and have some form of action that we're gonna move those guys forward. They're not gonna stay stagnant where they're at. So I think that answers your question. We're utilizing the internal resources. As apprentices move up, we'll hire another apprentice. We'll keep that conveyor belt of people learning the job. We'll keep that moving.
Well, let me ask you another hard question. Ever since I've been on the board, we kind of had this same problem. Have we been training apprentices and they've been leaving? Or have we not been training enough apprentices? What has been our problem? Because I don't think we've missed a year that we haven't had some outside source come in and look at what we've been paying our people. And every time they've told us, you need to bump them up or you're where you're supposed to be in it, we've always been where we're supposed to be as far as paying the people. We haven't been out of line on what we're paying our people. If we have been, we've always bumped them up. So,
I think we've had a lot of retirements too.
We lost 2 journeymen last year.
well, ever since I've been on the board, we've always had an aged workforce.
Yes.
I mean, whenever I first got on the board, we had an aged workforce. But it was because our people liked working here. Most of them went to work here when they were 20 years old and stayed till they were at least 65.
You know, I can't speak to what happened in the past. All I can speak to is, what's going on.
And that's what I'm trying to get out of you. How do we fix what's going on?
Well, I think, comparing us to the other local utilities like New Braunfels, NBU, one of the things is their healthcare package is better. You're asking, so I'm just gonna tell you, they have better healthcare and things like that, and they pay their journeyman about $47 an hour. And, we're getting there.
Well, compare us to Carnes County, because we're talking about a really, really fast-growing, rich neighborhood when you talk about Brunswick. This is rural area down here.
Carnes is a cooperative. It's a different set of rules, different things going on. It's not really apples to apples. That's why I pick NBU, because they're.
Well, let me chime in here, because what you have to understand, Mr. Aiken, those studies, we're within the pay range of those studies. What Devin's alluding to is not that. Devin's alluding to there are utilities out here, AEP, which is an IOU, that can pay more, and that's what we're up against. We're within our standards, but we're up against a company that's so much bigger than us, that has so many more resources than us, that we can't necessarily keep up with it. We are fighting that battle. And so you have to understand, yes, we are within the range of what any study that I've ever seen since I've been here, we are within that range from a pay scale standpoint. What we're fighting is most of these companies out here, they're either on the upper end of that range or outside of it on the upper end of it.
Okay.
So you've got to, can't compare what Devin said to what the studies showed.
I'm speaking of the industry as a whole.
Yeah.
I'm not speaking, you know, when we request a study, we go down to the nitty gritty. It's a specific niche in this industry. It is a utility that has 18 to 20,000 customers. That's what we're looking at.
Well, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not faulting you in
No,
your
I'm not taking it
answer.
that way. I'm just trying to
And
answer your
I'm,
question.
and I'm not faulting us as a utility. I'm just saying, is there something that we're lacking? I mean, if we can't pay $50 an hour, we can't pay $50 an hour. We don't want our constituents paying 15 cents a kilowatt hour for their service. But just trying to get some more information.
It is a very, like I said, our industry as a whole, the resource is gone. As you said, you know, we had an old workforce here. As those guys have retired and left, historically, utilities have not brought in enough apprentices. They've went to relying on contractors. And, you know, that is a catch-22. As your age group leaves, you have nobody to replace them. So you become more and more dependent on your contract force, which continues to drive your cost up because they are more expensive. So it's trying to find the balance and what actual level will attract somebody to come in here
Right.
versus, you know, just going whole hog like some of these other places and just offer stuff out of the realm of possibility. Because, you know, the contractors, they have, you know, the opportunity to bid a specific project and bid those costs into that job. So they can, you know, an AEP is gonna say, hey, I'll pay this premium for the next 2 years because the resource is so finite that if I pay this, I'm gonna get those migrant workers or the guys that live over here, they'll drive over here and work for a week because they'll get an extra $500 on their
And
paycheck. It's not taxable.
they'll get that young guy
Yes, sir.
because he's going, I'll do this for 5 years because I'll make that big money and then I'll go settle down later.
Yeah, that's why, you know, we concentrate on our young apprentices in this room to be a local kid. You know, we're taking guys off the right of way. We've got a couple in there that are, you know, one guy's from Vegas, but he wants to live in this area. He's got a friend down here that recommended him that is almost about to journey out. You know, we got lucky with Walker. He had 3.5 years in an apprentice program and he's about to pass all his tests, so we're gonna have another journey.
So how long does it take from the day you hire an apprentice to when they become a journeyman?
It's 8,000 man hours. So about 4.5 years.
4.5 years.
Yes, sir.
Just like going to college.
And they have to progress and they have to pass tests along the way, or, you know, if we don't, you know, you can be book smart, but when you go out and you put your hands on this stuff, there's still a learning curve there. They can know the test, but if they're not performing, we'll hold them. And, you know, it might take them an extra 6 months. So it could be 4 to 5 years, depending on the person.
Let me back up to one of Mr. Aiken's earlier questions. We lost a journeyman lineman to an unfortunate accident
Yeah.
earlier this year. And that hurt. He's a very good worker, loved him to death. Everybody loved him, but he was a journeyman. Looking at it from a business perspective, he was a journeyman. We lost one of our few journeymen that we have.
Seasoned journey.
I'm sorry?
Seasoned journey.
Seasoned
We're talking
journeyman.
10
Yeah,
years.
he's not just-
10 years as a journeyman.
Yeah. So there's two things there. One, we lost a journeyman. We lost an apprentice. He had just got his journeyman.
Yeah.
We
Somebody
lost
to
an
train
apprentice.
somebody.
But he wanted to go move. He didn't want to leave here. He wanted to stay here, but his wife wanted to go move with the family. So he's up in the Washington, Oregon area. there's number two, that's another journeyman, even though he was a rookie journeyman, that's another journeyman we lost. Then journeyman, we can only hire the number of apprentices that we have in journeyman, I believe
Yeah,
is.
there's a ratio you have to follow depending on the Department of Labor. So we're limited with the amount of apprentices we can put in there, because,
That was a question I was trying to get.
yes,
And that's where I figured you were, that's why I was trying to go back a little bit. And so we, at this time, I believe we have enough apprentices for what we have for journeyman. That's why it's important that if we can get another crew, you know, we've got some guys that are real on the edge of going to journeyman, I believe, Walker being
yeah,
one.
Walker and Cameron's.
And Cameron's really close.
So we
If
got
you
some.
can get 2 or 3 more journeymen, you can get 2 or 3 more.
Exactly.
The ratio is
It's
about
just-
1 to 2. Don't quote me on this, but, you know, just off the top of my head, I think it's, you can have 2 apprentices per journeyman. So if we get a couple more journeymen, we can hire a couple more apprentices and accelerate the process.
Yeah.
It's just, that's a challenge to lure that seasoned guy here just because of where they can go in the industry right now and just make a lot of money.
And the key there, what Devin just said, how do we keep the ones we have? And a lot of what I've heard is the money's not everything. They love working here. So that's what I hear. And I've got to keep that going. We as an executive team, we as an entire Phelps team have to keep that going so that we can keep the excellent team that we have in place today. So I hope that all those responses help y'all understand that. I know we talk about journeyman every single board meeting, but there's reasons why we can't just jump into it and go, hey, yeah, let's just go hire them. They don't exist.
And you don't want to hire just anybody. Just because he has that piece of paper doesn't mean he's qualified.
So I got 2 questions for you. One, what, in your opinion, what percentage do you think that you're actually gonna be able to find a full team to come in? What if you had to, like, right now? Because my nose, the next question would be, equipment's more likely only getting more and more expensive every year, right? So it's one of them deals, if you feel that there's a possibility of you're gonna be able to find a team by the end of the year, probably be smarter to jump on buying the equipment that we already approved, and it can.
Well, the
You know
guys,
what I mean?
the guys I work with, I'll get a quote from them and they'll honor it all year long. Because the prices do not
Okay.
change throughout the year. You know, it's like last year when we bought, 2 buckets last year, y'all approved that second one. I got it for the same price I paid for the one 3 months earlier. Because there's vendors I work with that once they quote us something, they'll honor it for the year because the cost doesn't, the next model year is when the cost goes up.
Okay, that's, yeah.
And as far as a percentage, anything I told you right now, I'm just pulling the number out.
No, that's what I was just, my nose going to the equipment.
I really don't like to do that because I like to give you things I can stand behind, and any number I give you right now is just, like I said, pulling the number out of the air. And I've talked to 3 individuals right now, and, 2 of them said no, and 1 of them said, I'll talk to you after the first of the year. And that's where we're at. And if he wants to come, I'll bring him in any capacity. He's been in the business 20, 25 years. He lives in the valley. He's tired of it. He wants to slow down because he's been a contractor for years and years. And he is a journeyman lineman. He's been a foreman, crew leader. And if we could get him, he'd be a big boost. The knowledge base he would bring. But it's just, it's luring them away from that. The per diem is the catch.
Yeah.
When you get $100 a day,
Tax-free.
Tax-free, 5 days a week, 52 weeks a year, what could you do with $500 a week? I mean, that's a lot of money, and that's the minimum that these guys are getting. Some of them are getting $150. So it's just, it's a hard competition, and, I'd love to tell you, yeah, by June I'll have some in here.
No, I'm not saying that.
I
I was
can't
getting
do
towards
that.
the part about the equipment, right? You know
Yes.
what I mean? Like, if we think you've got a pretty good feeling, we'll be able to feel it, then I would say equipment's only gonna get more expensive, but like
Yes.
you said, it's good for a full
There's-
year.
There's 3 vendors I work with, and they have different slots in quarters where they will get a slot at Terex or VersaLift. And they'll tell me, hey, I've got this many slots, when do you want that? They'll give me time frames and when I want it, and I'm like, you know, and if I pass on this one, they'll say, well, these are coming up, and it's just, you know, they accumulate these spots, and it's flexible, is what I'm trying to say.
The lead times aren't 18 months to 2 years anymore,
No.
like during COVID, that was some of the
No,
conversations we had.
it's all,
We better order now, because it's gonna take 2 years to see that.
yes, it's.
That's what I was.
Yeah,
basically,
we're not in that environment anymore, and, you know, we got a new contact that we auction a lot of stuff off, and one of the guys that bought some of our shelves, he works for Hire, the company's HEIR, and they sell bucket trucks, and he said he's got 6 sitting on the lot right now, and he wants to get rid of. And they're brand new. So there's options out there. It's not like it was 4 years ago, 5 years ago. I mean, the industry has come back in that regard, and, you know, equipment is, if you, a little bit of pre-planning, you can get exactly what you want.
Good discussion, thank you. Any other questions on that? Okay.
Thank you, David.
Yeah, I'll say that, because we heard it this morning, it sounds like y'all are doing a good job with money not being the only reason for being here, we heard it this morning by, Sergio, so I think that's kind of the key to that, in a lot of small rural areas, schools included, it's not the money, it's the environment, your work family, all of that, so.
You know, he's the exception. His family's from Washington State.
Yep.
And he moved down here, and, you know, he tells me routinely, he's not going back. He wants to be right here. So, you know, that kind of stuff, you know, makes me, you know, assess, and, you know, I get feedback from those guys, and we are doing the right thing here. You know, we continue to increase, you know, the pay, which, you know, they say it's not a big thing, but the easier you can make it on them to live their life, the less they have to worry about it. And there's a balance there, and, you know, we have to take that into account, and, you know, and keep ourselves relevant. We don't have to match everybody, we just have to be relevant.
Thank you, Doug, appreciate it.
Thank you all for that discussion. We'll move on to the update on other projects.
Just real fast, there's not a ton of updates right now, but I wanted to just keep y'all abreast of everything. We anticipate results of the study for the Mission Rail first half study that Mission Rail paid for. We expect those results next week, but I put 1 to 2 weeks on here just to be a little more open-ended, give them a little more time, because they are turning it around pretty quick. But I continue to talk to them at least once a week as they're going through the study process. Today, if y'all are interested after the board meeting, as we're going through and looking at the rooms for voting on the door decorations, we have the meter shop. We'd love to take you and show you what y'all approved. So if you don't have time and you want to schedule another time later, that's fine. But the offer's open today, and we're ready to go do a little show and tell. Transformer optimization. We did get the wiring prints. If you remember last time I told you I didn't have time to do the wiring prints for the Sutherland Spring circuit switcher. It failed. And so that's been received. It's been wired, and we're waiting on CPS to test it. We did have one when they were gassing up that unit. They had a little check valve that failed. We're waiting on a replacement part from Siemens for that, and that's just under warranty. So it's a check valve that's on the insulating gas that's in the candlesticks. And then at Eagle Creek, I'll be out at Eagle Creek wrapping up getting that energized tomorrow. I've got all morning set aside for going down to Eagle Creek. So outside of that, I guess we're ready to review and approve a couple of things.
Move on to approvals. Review and possible action on the minutes of the meeting held November 5th, 2025.
I make the motion that the minutes of November 5th be approved.
Motion by Ms. Madero. Second by the mayor. All those in favor? Unanimous. All right, review and possible action on remaining third quarter investment reports.
Emilio, if you would, please.
As you can see, this is the third quarter investment report. We can see we've had for the unrestricted funds for the general operating and construction, we've had an earnings of $33,865. And then for the restricted funds, we have a utilization of 1.9 million, which is something that is expected during the third quarter in this case because we have the bonds to pay. In August, we do pay the principal and interest on our bonds, so that takes a good chunk of our bond return. So we had it for the third quarter, we did have a utilization of 1.9 million as a grand total. Are there any questions?
As he stated, we have this twice a year where we have to pay principal and interest, and it takes a little hit on our finances, but it's expected. So, Santos, do you want to add anything to them?
If you just look at our ending value here, this is what's driving our interest income. That 45 million, the majority of that's being invested, and we're averaging at least 4% interest on that. So that's what's driving our interest revenue for the year.
All right, any other discussion, any action to take on third quarter investment report? Johnny?
I make a motion that we accept it.
Motion by Mr. Aiken, second by Ms. Madero. All those in favor? Yes. All right, get out
We were trying to win week to you.
All right, we will move on to executive session. Or do you want to go to special briefings and knock it out? You want to, well, we got it. We'll go. All right, so anytime during the board meeting and between provisions of chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code, the board may meet in executive session for deliberation, voting, or action on competitive matters, 551.086, personnel under 551.074, or attorney-client matters under 551.071. Can I get a motion to go into executive session?
Motion to go into executive session.
Motion by Mr. Darrow. Seconded by Mr. Aiken.